With Andor Season 2, everyone is rewatching Andor Season 1, which is great. I've been doing it a little bit as well, here and there. Not the complete series, but here and there. And when watching Season 1 over again, or watching the scenes, I am reminded that this show takes place during the Empire with Cassian Andor, a character that was barely, that was in Rogue One, but it didn't much, like, no one really cared about him. Like, look at what Andor did, how it expanded the Empire, how it expanded the original trilogy, how it expanded everything. Everything is expanded because of Andor, how everything expanded, how Star Wars in that time period has changed. And I'm like, why wasn't this part of the sequel trilogy? Like, imagine instead of Cassian Andor being the main character, I mean, he's set in the original trilogy, what if this set in the sequel trilogy, but instead of Cassian Andor, it was Poe Dameron? That is my idea for a show that I think could work. Imagine Andor, but with Poe Dameron, because in the sequel trilogy, we know that Poe Dameron is like the best Resistance person in the Resistance. That's why he got some information to get the map Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens. So how did he get to that point? And having a 2-season show, where the first season shows him like his origin story, and at the end of the season he joins Resistance, and season 2 he does missions for the Resistance. That is like an interesting idea. Because in Rise of Skywalker, we learn that he's a part of like the smuggler thing on Kijimi. That could be the first arc of the show. How to get out of that? How to meet BB-8? How to get part of Resistance? What is the story? And if the same quality of Andor would apply to, this hypothetical show with Poe Dameron, that would have been so cool, and it would have really fleshed out the sequel trilogy, because that era has nothing. And with Andor, I'm sorry to say this, but the original trilogy didn't need Andor to make that time period great. Like, Rogue One is a good movie, but no one was asking for a Cassian Andor show. And yes, we're all grateful for it now, but in the grand scheme of things, this time period didn't need this show to exist. The quality of the show and the writing and the character building, that should have been put into the sequel trilogy, or in the show like instead of calling Andor, we called Dameron, or something along those lines. It sounds weird to say, having a show be called Dameron, about Poe Dameron, and his adventures with the Resistance. That would have been, with that writing, that style, it would have made that era better, and I think it would have changed how people saw the sequel trilogy. And the only downside that I think, if this is live action, the unfortunate reality, and maybe Lucasfilm was trying to do this, maybe because the unfortunate thing I'm going to say here is that with Carrie Fisher, unfortunately passed away, you can't really do a show like that, because if you want to have Leia in the show, you can't really do it. And so it's one of those unfortunate things where I don't think that type of show would ever exist. Maybe that's why they went with Cassian Andor. Maybe that's why. Maybe originally they wanted to do a Poe Dameron show. Maybe that was the case. If a show like that existed for a sequel trilogy, people would have liked it a lot more. And I think people would have been on board with that era. Because, like, when we really look at the sequel trilogy, nothing good has come out of that era, really. We have the sequel trilogy, and we have Resistance. And to an extent, the Battlefront 2 campaign, like, a couple missions are set in that time period. But outside of that, can you name something that's actually good in that time period? Like, not the Mandoverse. The Mandoverse is different. Not anything from Mandalorian. No. I'm talking about the sequel trilogy with the First Order. Is there anything good in that? I don't think there is. That's universally loved. That show would have existed for that time period. They would have really changed a lot of people's minds on the trilogy and all that type of stuff. The closest we have to a Poe Dameron adventures would be in Resistance, where there's like a couple episodes with him and the main character of that show going on missions, and those are the best episodes of the Resistance show. But those are only like a couple episodes, and that's really it. Really, like having Poe Dameron be like the main character, and seeing his origin story and seeing him do missions for the Resistance would have been so cool. One other thing I want to get into is that a show like this could technically exist. My hypothetical show could technically exist with Andor, but people look at it as a copycat. Who knows? And I don't think they'll ever make this type of show, because Andor already exists already. I don't think they want to make another show exactly like one already, unless they want to do something else with it. So it's sort of an unfortunate thing, and sort of a, you can say, a blunder that Disney Star Wars made, where maybe this type of show should have been made for the era that has the least amount of content, to really flesh that era out and make people care about it for more future projects. But they didn't. That's all I really wanted to say on that. Just my opinions What do you think? Do you think a Poe Dameron show could have worked with my ideas? Comment down below. It's gonna go now. So goodbye, everyone.